Okay, predicting the Denver Broncos record prediction. So looking at that roster, I think Sean Payne will make a difference on Russell Wilson. I expect Russell Wilson um to return to his old self. Um, but their offense in general, I think, could be better. They signed Pirine, but Javonte Williams is coming off injuries. Wide receiver there is Sutton and Judy, but with Hamilton and Patrick getting injured, I think their depth could be better. Their tight end could be better. Dulich is all right, and their offensive line better improved because they were bad last year, and they did sign Mike McGlinchey, but the offensive line has to show much improvement. Their defense, though, I think losing their DC is gonna cost them an elite defense. I don't think Vance Joseph is that good. They still have talent, like they signed Frank Clark. They still have Surtain and Justin Simmons, but I think losing their DC will cause them to become from an elite defense to just a good defense. So I expect offense to be better, but their defense to be worse. So you have your first game versus the Raiders. Raiders, they are divisional rival, but they downgraded at quarterback with Jimmy G now starting, and their defense isn't all that. But it is a divisional game, and Broncos do struggle versus the Raiders. But Denver has home field advantage, and I just think Denver is just way more talented. I'm gonna take Denver here. Then you have week two versus the Commanders. As long as the Broncos offensive line holds up, um Commanders have a really good defensive line, which can cause problems. But I think the Broncos defense is able to shut down Sam Howell, and the Commanders secondary being all right. I think the Denver can get this win. Then you have week three versus the Dolphins. Dolphins, I think their offense is too explosive for the Broncos to contain Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Like I said, I think the Broncos defense will be slightly worse this year. With Vic Fangio, I think it can slow down the Broncos offense enough. And with Dolphins home field advantage early in the year, being super hot in Miami, I'm gonna give it to the Dolphins here. And you have them versus the Bears. Bears are a relatively inexperienced team with Justin Fields, DJ Moore. They brought in some new pieces, but I think the Denver should be able to contain Justin Fields and DJ Moore. And the Bears defense is not good, so I'm gonna give it to the Broncos here. Then you have Denver versus the Jets. First of all, Broncos have pretty big home field advantage. Both these teams are pretty talented. Jets also have a top five defense and Aaron Rodgers, but both teams it's gonna be a close game. I do think that Sean Payne will get the better of the Jets defense though, so I'm gonna give it the Broncos. And you have a Thursday night versus the Chiefs. Chiefs have beat the Broncos 15 straight times now. And Chiefs have big home field advantage. I'm gonna take the Chiefs. Then you have them versus the Packers. Packers are coming off a bye, but I don't trust Jordan Love against that Broncos defense. Um, Packers offensive line could be better. I think the Broncos pass rush could be a problem, so I'm gonna give it the Broncos, especially they have home field advantage. Then you have Denver versus the Chiefs again. I think this one's gonna be a close game. I think, but the Broncos have potential to actually split with the Chiefs. Chiefs, I think their defense is still above average and can slow down Russell Wilson. And Chiefs offense, obviously, Kelsey Mahomes. It's going to be close, but I think Andy Reid is a better coach than Sean Payne, so I'm giving it to the Chiefs here. Then you have their bye, and then you have them versus the Bills. Another team that's just Super Bowl contenders. Broncos are coming off a bye, but Bills have home field advantage. Um, I think Josh Allen, his dual threat, and Stephon Diggs will be too much for that Broncos defense to contain. And the Broncos do have a very good pass rush, which I think will cause problems. So I'm giving it the Bills here. Then you have them versus the Vikings. I just don't think the Vikings defense can stop the Broncos. Vikings do have a very good offense though, but Vikings defense is not good enough. I'm gonna give it to the Broncos, and Broncos have home field advantage. Then you have them versus the Browns. Browns offense super explosive as long as Deshaun Watson returns to form. Um, but Broncos have home field advantage. Their defense, I think, good enough to slow down Chubb and Deshaun Watson, and I don't think the Browns defense is that good. I think the Broncos offense is better than the Browns defense, so I'm giving to the Broncos here. Then you have a game against the Texans. This one could definitely be a trap game. Texans, I think they brought in a bunch of new players. They have a better coach in DeMarco Ryans, and I do think Broncos fall for the trap. I'm gonna give it to the Texans here. Then you have Denver versus the Chargers. Divisional rivals, so hard to predict. Um, LA has home field advantage and just as talented as the Broncos. So I think this one they're gonna split. So I'm gonna give it to the Chargers in the first game. Then you have Denver versus the Lions. I think this is another sneaky good matchup. Lions offense should be just as good as last year with Goff. They brought in Gibbs. They still have Amon Ra. But I do think the Broncos secondary can hold up good against good but not great Lions receivers. The offense, and I trust the Broncos offense to get the job done over the Lions defense. So I'm gonna give it to the Broncos here, even with the Lions home field advantage. Then you have Denver versus the Patriots. Patriots, another tough team. Patriots always sport a good defense, but I think the Patriots offense will be too much lacking, and the Broncos have a similar defense but a better offense. So I'm giving the Broncos, and they have home field advantage as well. And week 17, like I said earlier, I think both of these teams split, so I'm giving the Broncos here. And then pretty much what I said during week 1, even though the Raiders aren't as talented, Raiders always play the Broncos tough for whatever reason. So I take the split. I have the Raiders winning. So in the end, the Broncos going 10-7, 2-4 in division, 8-1 at home, and 2-6 away.